There are a lot of religious and spiritual people that are LGBTQIA plus individuals, and they exist amongst us. I get a lot of negative comments from some people, and most of the people that I get the comments from are mostly people who claim to be religious. So I'm putting this question out here: can people who are LGBTQIA plus be spiritual? Can they be spiritual, baby?
For me, that's like really not even a question. Of course they can. I mean, spirituality by definition is the search for connecting with a higher force or higher being and making sense of our lives and giving it meaning. And what religion does, religion is simply a man-made framework for spirituality. So when people that are caught in this framework, because for me spirituality is so free and it's so open, and that's the nice thing about it, but the framework helps a lot of people to live their spirituality. If it works for them, fine, go for it. But don't put other people down that are not fitting in your framework. And the framework, what it also did, I mean, it's not only religion and spirituality, it also created these taboos like being gay. But if you look at the framework more closely, the framework also says don't cheat on your wife, don't eat pig meat, don't shave your face, and so on. But funny enough, it's the one thing, being homosexual or LGBTQ plus, that's the big sin, and all the others are tolerable. And it's like, I mean, it's like really weird. For me, it's not a question at all. Of course, every human being can be spiritual and can be on his or her journey and quest. And for me, religion, it's simply a framework that makes ready-made spirituality for most, but not for all.
For me, my understanding of spirituality and being spiritual, you are the epitome of that. You exude it. Living with you and being my partner, you exhibit that. You show kindness, you show empathy, you have compassion, you are everything. The definition of the things that I see as individualistic spirituality, collective spirituality, in my own understanding, you do your daily meditations, you are in touch with most things, and your understanding is just perfect. To me, for someone like you who is LGBTQIA plus individual, it doesn't get better than that. What I grew up, that I was taught, that I learned from my mother, that you should be kind, you should show empathy, you should show compassion, you should believe that there's something above you that you don't know, and that something that is above you is something that can be God, depending on how you interpret that. That can be praying to God, whatever it is. You believe that there is a being that is higher than all of us, and that being that is higher than all of us depends on how you call it. What really gets to me is when people come to you, they feel like, oh, because you're gay, you don't understand that there's a higher being. People pray every day. Why do you pray? Why do you meditate? Why do you practice yoga? Why do you practice calmness, kindness? Because you feel that it is good for you, and you feel that there's a higher being within you that gives you peace of mind, and you want to live in the moment. The way people understand and portray their spirituality, which is very toxic, by the way, is this framework of religious beliefs.
For me, it's like I grew up Catholic and I really loved it, and
Same
I was
here.
like really into it a long time. But the older I got, the more I was like, no, because for me a loving God is all encompassing. It's like it's a loving God for everybody, for all the people. And I mean, when they come, oh, but the Bible, I mean, the Bible was written in the Bronze Age by men, and the best proof that it is like that, it was not given to them by God. It was written by men that only knew the Mediterranean, maybe Egypt, but they didn't know about Africa, they didn't know about Australia, they didn't know about all the rest of the world. The only they talk about is like this little piece on the map, and that shows it is man-made. The Bible is not given by God. It's man-made, and it makes on so many levels no sense whatsoever. That for me is like the biggest proof that religion is just a framework. It might work for some, but it doesn't work for me.
You just made an excellent point. What people fail to understand, there are a lot of religious and spiritual people people that are LGBTQIA plus individuals, and they exist amongst us. No human being whatsoever has the saying or the power to say to another human being that you are not spiritual enough, that you are not religious enough, that you are a sinner.
I mean, the worst thing, I think, that you are wrong in the eyes of God.
Oh my goodness.
That's the worst. It's so off the mark when it comes to spirituality. How can you even say that? Just because a book says so, and it can be even argued that the book says so.
Yeah.
This is, for me, is the epitome. You're the wrong in the eyes of God. And that's it. If I hear something like that, I stop listening.
That's borderline fanatical, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Spirituality is the search for a higher being, to connect with this higher being, or to connect with the all-encompassing being, or whatever it is that there is, because we don't have the faintest clue, and we probably cannot even fathom and imagine whatever it is.
Yep.
So you can be spiritual and religious if you use the religion as a framework that promotes your spirituality.
Yeah.
But the minute this framework cuts out other human beings, the minute it cuts out other living beings of the spirituality, then the framework doesn't work for the spirituality anymore.
Yeah.
Then the framework, the way you understand it, is flawed.
Yeah.
And your spirituality is just as hurt as the people around you that you touch with your flawed framework. So the framework, meaning religion, should aid spirituality and not hamper it and pervert it, basically.
Yeah.
And that's what this fanatical Christians or any fanatical religious people, that's what happens to them. Their spirituality is flawed, and I don't think it's helpful anymore.
Yeah.
So a framework, as long as it's useful,
Did you hear that?
I totally agree with it.
Yeah.
But the minute it becomes counterproductive to your spirituality, then what is it? What should it be? No.
Because you can be spiritual and not be religious.
Absolutely. If you are religious and you use this framework, then you still encompass every living being.
Yeah.
And not just the ones that fit into your narrow-minded narrative.
Yeah. Do you have any other thing to add?
No.
Leave a comment and let me know what you think. Have a wonderful time. Continue to be the best version of yourself. I will see you in the next one. Have a wonderful time.